Hello, my name is Darian Romell, and today I want to talk to you about the challenge of maintaining faith over time. One of the greatest trials we face in this existence is the ability to hold on to faith as time passes. Faith is not a fleeting emotion, nor is it something that should waver with the changing tides of life. True faith is a discipline, a constant effort to align oneself with the greater reality that lies beyond the illusions we perceive with our physical senses. Many people begin their spiritual journey with great enthusiasm, filled with light, clarity, and a deep sense of connection to the divine. But as time goes on, as difficulties arise, as disappointments build, that initial flame begins to flicker. It is easy to hold faith when everything seems to flow effortlessly. But what happens when the storms come? What happens when everything appears to collapse, when prayers seem unanswered, when suffering and loss visit us repeatedly? That is when faith is truly tested, and that is when many falter. The universe does not play dice, as Einstein said. Everything has a purpose, a precise order, an intention that we might not always understand. However, as human beings, we have the tendency to stumble over the same stone again and again. We struggle, we suffer, we cry out, wondering why certain experiences repeat themselves. We forget that nothing happens without reason, that every challenge, every moment of darkness, is an opportunity for learning. Yet, because we do not see the full picture, we become frustrated, losing sight of the deeper reality in which we are immersed. The challenge of maintaining faith lies in understanding that faith is not about avoiding hardships, but about confronting them with trust in the divine plan. It is about knowing deep within our being that we are never alone, that the Creator is always watching over us, that the forces of light accompany us at every step. Even in the most painful moments when everything seems meaningless, there is a lesson waiting to be understood. To endure in faith, we must cultivate patience, we must strengthen discipline, not just the discipline of prayer, but the discipline of love, the discipline of trust, the discipline of surrender. It is easy to believe in God when we receive blessings, but true faith is demonstrated when we walk through fire and still hold on to the certainty that everything is as it must be. Faith is not about asking, "Why is this happening to me?" but rather, "What is this teaching me?" When we shift our perspective from resistance to understanding, we realize that nothing is truly lost. Even what appears to be a failure, a loss, or a tragedy is, in reality, a step forward in our spiritual evolution. One of the hardest things in life is keeping our faith strong, no matter what happens. At first, having faith can feel easy. When things go well, when life is smooth, it's simple to believe that everything is going as it should. But life doesn't always stay easy. There are struggles, losses, and moments when we feel like nothing is going right. That is when faith is truly tested. It's natural to question things when we face difficulties. We might wonder, why is this happening to me? Or why does life have to be so hard? We might even feel like giving up. But faith is not about having an easy life. It's about believing that everything happens for a reason, even if we don't understand it right away. Imagine life as a giant puzzle. We only have a few pieces in front of us, and sometimes they don't seem to fit together. It might feel like everything is just random and unfair. But if we could see the whole picture, we would realize that every piece has its place, even the ones that seem confusing or painful. Many people struggle because they keep making the same mistakes. They trip over the same problems again and again. But this isn't a coincidence. Life gives us repeated lessons because we haven't fully understood them yet. Every challenge we face is a chance to learn something important. Instead of getting frustrated, we need to ask ourselves, what is this trying to teach me? Faith is about trusting that we are not alone. Even when we feel lost, even when things don't make sense, we are always being guided. There are forces of light watching over us, helping us grow. It might not always feel like it, but we are never truly alone. To keep our faith strong, we need patience. We need discipline. Not just the discipline to pray or believe, but the discipline to trust, to love, and to keep going even when things get tough. It's easy to believe in something greater when life is good, but real faith is shown when we hold on even in the hardest times. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we should ask, "What can I learn from this?" Every difficulty is an opportunity to grow. Even when we feel like we've lost, we are actually moving forward. The key is to keep going, to keep believing, and to understand that every experience is part of something bigger. Sometimes we expect life to be fair, but the truth is, life is about learning, not about being easy. We might look at others and wonder why they seem to have fewer struggles, but every person has their own lessons to face. Some people just hide their struggles better than others. When we go through hard times, it's important not to lose ourselves in frustration. Instead of thinking, "Why does this always happen to me?" we should take a step back and observe. Imagine watching your life as if it were a movie. What patterns do you see? What keeps happening again and again? Those patterns are messages from life, telling us what we need to understand. Faith is not just believing in something greater than ourselves. It's also trusting that we have the strength to overcome whatever comes our way. We are never truly given more than we can handle, even if it feels that way in the moment. The key is to trust that every difficulty is shaping us into a wiser, stronger person. It's also important to remember that we are never truly alone. Even when we feel abandoned, even when no one seems to understand us, there are forces of light, whether you call them angels, guides, or simply divine energy, watching over us. We are constantly being guided even when we don't realize it. One of the biggest mistakes people make is carrying emotional burdens for too long. Imagine if you had to carry a heavy backpack every single day. Over time, it would wear you down. That's what happens when we hold on to negative emotions like anger, regret, or sadness. Faith teaches us to let go, to trust that we don't have to carry everything alone. Some lessons in life repeat themselves because we haven't fully learned from them. The more we ignore them, the harder they get. It's like a video game. If you don't complete a level, you have to keep playing it again until you get it right. Life works the same way. Instead of feeling trapped, we should take it as an opportunity to finally understand what we need to change. Another thing that weakens faith is fear. Fear is the opposite of trust. When we let fear take over, we forget that we are capable of overcoming anything. We doubt ourselves, we doubt the universe, and we let negativity control our thoughts. But faith is about remembering that we are stronger than our fears. It's about believing that we have everything we need inside us to move forward. Even when things don't go as planned, even when we face losses, we need to remind ourselves, nothing is truly lost. Every experience, good or bad, helps us grow. Instead of seeing difficulties as punishments, we should see them as opportunities, chances to become wiser, stronger, and more connected to something greater than ourselves. Faith is like a muscle. It grows stronger the more we use it. But just like any muscle, if we don't exercise it, it becomes weak. Many people lose faith not because they don't believe, but because they stop practicing it in their daily lives. They get caught up in their struggles, their worries, and their distractions, forgetting that faith needs attention just like anything else. One of the biggest threats to faith is impatience. We want answers right away. We want our problems to be solved quickly. But the universe doesn't work on our schedule. Some lessons take time. Some growth happens slowly, even when we don't notice it. Just like a tree doesn't grow overnight, neither do we. If we only believe when things are easy, then we don't truly have faith, we just have convenience. Real faith means trusting even when we don't see results right away. Another challenge is doubt. It's normal to doubt sometimes, but we must be careful not to let doubt take control. Doubt is like a storm. It can shake us, make us feel lost, and fill our minds with fear. But just like every storm, doubt eventually passes. If we hold on and stay strong, the sky will clear again. A powerful way to keep our faith strong is through gratitude. When we focus on what we lack, we feel weak. But when we focus on what we have, we feel blessed. Even in the hardest times, there is always something to be grateful for. A lesson learned, a small moment of kindness, a new opportunity. Gratitude shifts our perspective and helps us see that we are never truly alone or forgotten. We must also be careful about the distractions around us. The world is full of noise, social media, negative news, other people's opinions. If we spend too much time absorbing all that noise, we lose touch with ourselves. Faith requires inner peace. It requires moments of silence where we can listen to our own thoughts and feelings. If we never take time to reflect, we risk becoming disconnected from our own spiritual path. Another thing to remember is that faith is not just about believing in something greater. It's also about believing in ourselves. Many people think faith is only about trusting in God, the universe, or spiritual forces. But we also need to trust in our own strength and our own journey. If we don't believe in ourselves, we will always feel lost. There will be moments when we feel like giving up, when everything seems too hard, when life feels unfair. In those moments, we must remind ourselves that challenges are not meant to break us, they are meant to build us. Every difficulty is shaping us into the person we are meant to be. And no matter how many times we fall, we always have the choice to stand up again. Another reason why faith weakens over time is because people expect life to be fair. They think that if they do good, they should only receive good things in return. But life does not work like that. The universe does not reward or punish, it teaches. Every difficulty we face is not a punishment but a lesson, an opportunity to grow. When we start seeing life this way, faith becomes easier to hold on to. Many people lose faith when they experience pain. They ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They feel abandoned, as if the universe has forgotten them. But what if pain is not a sign of being abandoned, but a sign of transformation? Think of a seed buried in the soil. It is covered in darkness, pressed down by the weight of the earth. But in that darkness it begins to grow. If it never went through that struggle, it would never break through the soil and reach the sunlight. Our struggles work the same way. The fear of the unknown is another challenge to faith. We want to know what will happen next. We want guarantees that everything will be okay. But faith is about trusting even when we don't have all the answers. Imagine walking through fog. You can't see very far ahead, but you trust that if you keep walking, the path will appear. Faith is like that. It guides us one step at a time, even when we can't see the full picture. One way to strengthen faith: surrounding ourselves with people who uplift and inspire us makes a difference. When we feel weak, They remind us of our strength. When we forget our purpose, they help us remember. Faith does not mean we have to walk alone. It means trusting that we are always supported, even if we don't always see it. But perhaps the most important thing to remember is that faith is a choice. It is not something we are given. It is something we build. Every day we have a choice to trust or to fear, to believe or to doubt, to keep going or to give up. Faith is not about never feeling afraid. It is about choosing to move forward even when fear is present. No matter how many times we struggle, no matter how many times we fall, faith reminds us that we are never truly lost. The universe is always guiding us, even when the path is unclear, and if we keep our faith strong, we will always find our way. Faith is like a flame. It flickers, it struggles against the wind, but it never truly goes out unless we allow it to. There will always be moments when it feels weaker, when doubts whisper louder than hope, when the weight of life feels too much to carry. But faith is not about never feeling doubt, it is about choosing to believe despite the doubt. The problem many people face is that they expect faith to feel the same all the time. They think that once they believe, that belief should stay strong forever. But faith is like a muscle. It needs to be used, stretched, and sometimes even broken down so that it can grow stronger. If we never experience moments of questioning, how do we truly know what we believe? If we never face hardship, how do we develop the strength to keep going? Some of the most faithful people are those who have faced the greatest difficulties. Not because they never struggled, but because they did. And still, they chose to believe. They chose to trust in something bigger than themselves. Every great story, every hero, every wise teacher has faced darkness, and yet they emerged from it with deeper understanding, greater wisdom, and unshakable faith. It is easy to believe when things are going well, when life flows smoothly, when everything makes sense. Faith does not feel like a challenge. But true faith is built in the moments when nothing makes sense, when the path ahead is hidden, when all we have is the choice to either surrender to fear or hold on to something greater. The key is to stop seeing challenges as obstacles and start seeing them as teachers. Every difficulty, every delay, every heartbreak carries something valuable. Life is not about avoiding pain. It is about learning how to walk through it without losing ourselves. The greatest test of faith is not whether we can avoid hardship, but whether we can move through it with trust, with courage, and with an open heart. No one walks this journey perfectly. Everyone has moments of doubt, moments of frustration, moments when they question everything. That does not make someone weak, it makes them human. Faith is not about being perfect. It is about continuing, even when it feels impossible. Some people spend their whole lives waiting for faith to feel effortless. They wait for a moment when they will never struggle again, never question again, never feel lost again. But that moment never comes because faith is not meant to be effortless. It is meant to be chosen again and again, no matter the circumstances. The beauty of faith is that it does not require us to have all the answers. It does not ask us to be fearless or never make mistakes. It simply asks us to keep going, to trust, to believe that even in the hardest moments something greater is at work. Even when we cannot see the full picture, even when life feels uncertain, faith remains. Not because everything is easy, but because we choose to keep it alive. No matter how many times we fall, no matter how long the road may seem, as long as we keep believing, keep growing, and keep walking forward, faith will always be there to guide us home.